Oh.
Hi, this is Diana Walker, and I just wanted to welcome you to our Sunrider call. This is our final one for, well, this is June 2022, and in September we will have more, but we're all taking the summer off, I think. At least I am. So we're going to talk about NUPLUS today, Sunrider NUPLUS. And NUPLUS is the basic nutrition of Sunrider. One of the first formulas from 40 years ago based on ancient manuscripts. And I want to share my screen to just show you a little overview here. Just always takes me time to find this. Files, advanced, basic. It was here earlier. There it is. Okay, so this is NUPLUS. Can you, everybody can see that okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So nourishes and strengthens all the body. So NUPLUS, I think a few of you may not be muted. If you don't mind muting, that would be great. And the NUPLUS is Sunrider's main nourishing formula, providing a variety of balanced food grade whole plant nutrients we need daily in order to regenerate. NUPLUS is Nutrition Plus, and Sunbars and VitaShake also contain NUPLUS and have the same whole food properties. And there's a lot more information here, but we're not going to read the whole thing. I will send out the actual PDF file later that will, show you some of this. I just want to highlight the fact that it's a whole food, not isolates. And I think a lot of you know about that already. And NUPLUS has many choices. The original has no beans. This formula is a concentration of the basic herbs of NUPLUS without the beans. It is easiest to digest and assimilate for babies who thrive on it. And people with candida or with really health challenges often use the NUPLUS original. And then there's one called Naturally Plain. It has a light apple flavor, but it does have beans. Then there's mixed berry, peanut banana, apple cinnamon, and Simply Herbs. And Simply Herbs is a very neutral one. You can even add it to soup or add it to hummus, use it in the blender with your fruit and other things that you are using for a smoothie. So Simply Herbs has additional bean concentrations. Well, all of these do, increasing the plant protein. And this one, Simply Herbs, seems to be very, very popular. I always have that in stock. Basic ingredients of NUPLUS: emperor root, water lily bulb and foxnut, lotus root and lotus seed, koi fruit, Chinese yam, and soy and other beans. But they're all non-GMO for sure. And the fermentation process has started, which allows your body to digest it much more easily. So I am going to call on Tricia Holder, please. I'm going to stop my sharing screen, and I would love Tricia to give us a little background on NUPLUS and herself, and also on she specializes in talking about soy, the soy and protein. So I would love to hear from you, please, Tricia.
Thanks, Diana. 32 years and 7 months ago, our whole life was changed when Barb introduced us to the Sunrider foods. And one of the foods we started with, we pretty much started with all the basics, was NUPLUS. And back then, I'm a long-term type 1 insulin dependent diabetic, and I was addicted to everything bad. Non-functioning digestion and severe candida overgrowth were a couple of my problems. So I was craving bad stuff. And when we started eating the NUPLUS, that's probably one of the first things we noticed was I just lost all my cravings for the bad stuff. And I had more natural energy, and I was just feeling a whole lot better. And I'm a holistic nutritionist. I'm trained in Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine, and I'm a researcher, and I have to know what's in it and how it works in the body. So I delved into NUPLUS, and the one food that really jumped out at me was the koi seed, koi fruit. It's also called Dob's pears and Chinese barley, and it was highly revered in ancient China for the value that it brought to people nutritionally. And that's still today one of its most popular things. Is its nourishing value, and it's also used in traditional Chinese medicine. And I'll read to you. I don't know how many of you have Dean Black's little book. I found it. It's called Chinese Nutritional Herbs by Dean Black. And I always thoroughly enjoy delving into this one. So the koi seed, it's a cool herb with sweet, bland flavor. It enters the stomach, spleen, and lung meridians, where it relieves water retention, dispels dampness, cleanses heat, drains pus, soothes numbness, strengthens the spleen, and controls diarrhea, reduces spasms, inhibits tumors, lowers blood sugar, stimulates general immunity, is anti-inflammatory, and also lowers cholesterol. So sounds pretty darn good to me. I can't remember how many years ago it was. Barb and Gail and some of you probably were on the phone call when we used to do phone calls with the Chens. And they actually talked about some research the Japanese had been doing fairly lately on koi seed, koi fruit. And they found it to be the most nourishing plant that they had ever researched. And because of that, the price of koi seed went up something like 400%. And yeah, our NUPLUS went up a little bit because Dr. Chen has his own sources of koi seed. He has his own farmers that grow for him. Our prices didn't go up all that much. So we really are getting a tremendous, tremendous amount of value when we eat the NUPLUS with the koi seed in it. It also has the 5 different beans, and it's called the 5-element theory. And the reason why Dr. Chen uses the 5 different beans is because they know that every color is related to a different system of the body. So for instance, yellow is the color or has the same frequency as your digestive system. The color green has the same frequency as your immune system. The color black is the same frequency as your kidney circulatory system. White is the same frequency as your lungs, and the red bean is the same frequency as your fire element, your endocrine system. So we are not only taking in all this good food, but we're actually balancing our energy at the same time when we eat the NUPLUS with the different beans. I believe all of Dr. Chen's formulas are based on that same philosophy. Many of them have the color part added into it. So I used to like to hang out in Chinese grocery stores, and I found the Chinese pearl barley, which is the koi seed, the koi fruit. 1 cup cost me $7, and that was about 20 or more years ago. So again, we have got such a great value with our Sunrider foods to be able to have access to this amazing food, NUPLUS, specifically what I'm referring to is the koi seed, for such a great price. So we really are getting a lot of value. Yeah, it builds muscle. It not only takes away craving, but it helps to heal joints. So if anybody has ever been in a car accident or broken a leg or something, I always tell them just pour on the NUPLUS, or need recovery from any type of health problem they've been dealing with. A friend of ours, he's from Germany, and he builds and repairs old buildings around Manitoba. And he had a 1,000-pound drill press fall on him. This is about 5 years ago, and totally shattered one leg and damaged the other leg quite badly. And the doctors didn't think he'd ever walk again. So he's in the hospital and his wife is in there. She wouldn't let him eat any of the hospital food. So she's in there feeding him NUPLUS and Joy and the other basic foods. Well, he was out of there in 2 weeks, and they could not believe that when they took his blood test, they couldn't believe that he was 68 years old, because they said he had the blood of a young person. So that just shows you the power of the NUPLUS in regards to healing. So that's about all that I have to say. Only I don't ever live without it.
Thank you so much. I love that background. I love how much research you do. And I know, I think that the koi fruit is really valuable for me, because NUPLUS was my first formula that Trudy shared with me. And the next morning I didn't have an ache in my hips, which I had, like, it was almost 50 then. And then I would wake up every morning with aching hips. So I think the koi fruit is anti-inflammatory too. So it really helped me. So it's you can't get it anywhere else. We're so lucky, like you say, that it's so reasonably priced for these valuable herbs that are in there. So thank you, Tricia. And now I would like Faye De Silva, please, if you would share a little bit with us about your experiences with NUPLUS. Thank you. Oh, you're muted.
Am I unmuted now? Yeah, okay. I've been in Sunrider for 24 years, and I think NUPLUS is probably the most important food in Sunrider. It's certainly my favorite. And the reason I say that is because it's an energy food. And our body, our organs, our body systems all need energy to function. And so perfect food for babies, like Tricia was saying, because it's so gentle to the, so gentle that it can be easily assimilated. I think there's a formula in China called angel porridge, which has got some of the main ingredients that NUPLUS has. That should tell you everything, right? Yeah, athletes, they love it because it helps them with muscle building and also removing the lactic acid. And I really, it's the best food for convalescing. So if you're in the hospital, and I'm talking from experience, if the one time I've ever been in a hospital, you want to be funneling NUPLUS into your body any which way you can, because it really does speed up recovery. And so, and then if you're not feeling your very best, I say, eat more NUPLUS. That's the only solution. Eat more NUPLUS, rest and hydrate. But I want to share you a story that one of my Sunrider associate shared recently. And it was a story on NUPLUS and anorexia. And she said, a lady called her during a snowstorm and said, I heard you are a Sunrider, and I'm wondering if you have any NUPLUS. Any kind will do. I can come and get it from you. The Sunrider was very amazed and shocked, because the thought of her braving the storm to come and get the NUPLUS. And so she said, well, you don't understand. My daughter was anorexic, and NUPLUS changed her life, and she didn't want to be without it even for one day. See, before NUPLUS, her daughter would eat and then go throw up. And you see, what anorexic tend to do is they don't like to look in the mirror, because they don't want to see themselves as fat, right? So anyway, this lady was feeding her daughter the NUPLUS, and the very first time she sat her down and gave her the NUPLUS, within 15 minutes, the daughter went to the bathroom to throw it up, except that she couldn't. The NUPLUS was all assimilated like a sponge. There was nothing to come up. And so having eaten the food consistently for a little while, you see, NUPLUS is also brain food. Your brain starts to function again. And so she's kind of looked at the mirror and she was shocked to see how emaciated she looked like. She looked like a skeleton. And so from that day on, she has to have NUPLUS no matter what. Even if she has to drive, the mom has to drive through the snowstorm to get it for her. So it changed her life.
I had never heard that story before. Thanks for sharing that, Faye. It
You're
really
welcome.
emphasizes how amazing this product is, because if you're if you're anorexic and it changes your brain and you can't throw it up, like with bulimia, and that's quite phenomenal. Thank you for sharing that. And I believe
You're
it.
welcome.
I believe that that's the solution, because our bodies are not nourished, and she's obviously was not getting any nourishment because she was throwing
Mhm.
everything up, and NUPLUS bypassed that. So that's pretty amazing. Thank you. So I would like to call on Dottie, please. Dottie prepared a couple of things. I think maybe I'm adding you in here and you hadn't been prepared. Oh yes, I look at my sheet, and actually I'll hold off on that because I think you didn't prepare. Sorry. I know that Randy Fritz did offer, and so I'm not calling on him out of order. So Randy, please share with us. Thanks. Oops, Randy, unmute yourself, please.
Thanks, Diana. I didn't prepare either, but we're talking about one of the basic foods, something that I've eaten for 30 plus years. And it's one of those things that it's like you brush your teeth every day, you eat your NUPLUS every day. And
Right.
oddly enough, I'm sitting in this situation, I'm thinking, oh, I should eat more NUPLUS. Even after all this time, I'm inspired by the stories and stuff. And I think I had heard that story about anorexia or something similar. I maybe heard a couple different stories about anorexic being helped with NUPLUS. And I remember when the story about koi fruit came out, the usual nutritional field is rife with fads. And at that time, there was a fad. The Japanese were convinced that koi fruit would help you if you had cancer. And that was one of the reasons why the price went up. And so NUPLUS is not only good for energy and strength and all that stuff, but it is good for your immune system. I personally see NUPLUS as the perfect food. And so in my mind, it's very powerful because a lot of people know that they're not eating just right, or maybe they know they're eating bad things, but they're so imbalanced nutritionally and they have cravings and stuff. And what I see is that when people eat the NUPLUS, they start eating better of the other food. And that's very, very powerful. That goes beyond just the benefits of the food itself. It helps clean up your table foods. And so we've heard stories about kids who used to come in asking for candy after eating NUPLUS for a while. They'd come in and ask for carrots. That's the difference. And I've heard that several times again. Myself, when I started NUPLUS 30 plus years ago, I had actually poor digestion. That was part of my health problem. And I just started feeling surges of energy and strength that I hadn't felt since I was a teenager. So I was pretty happy. That's all we had when I first started NUPLUS and tea. So I was really, really happy with that. And I would just mention that we do testing on the various foods, and it's like Trish mentioned, if you're very healthy, you can eat the flavored NUPLUSes, and that seems to be the best for people, and because they're getting all the benefits. If you need a little bit more nutrition, those people often need simply herbs. And if you actually have a significant health challenge, you probably have poor digestion also. And so you go with the NUPLUS with no beans. So if you can eat the flavored NUPLUS and get energy from it, that's a good sign anyway. So that's all I'll say for now. Thank you,
Thank
Diane.
you so much, Randy. That's so valuable, and the perfect food. I really love that you brought out that that people do want better, healthier foods just because their cravings change. And yeah, we'll answer questions at the end. Okay. And yes, Kathy Cook, please. I would love to hear from you.
So they've really covered a lot of the good stuff, but I wanted to tag along on Randy about that candy deal. When I first started NUPLUS, I would eat it in the morning, and I work in surgery. So of course there's a lot of snacking and stuff going on there. And somebody brought in some peanut butter M&Ms. We were in our little break room, and she handed each of us, poured 3 or 4 in our hands, and I love those. And so I took a bite and I was like, this is stale. This is not good. And I'm looking at everybody else to see if their faces are reflecting that. And they're not. They're just munching them down. So I take another bite to try another one. And I was like, this is disgusting. I mean, I think they're rancid. So I kind of just spit it out, and I didn't think about it till later. And I thought, I had NUPLUS just a little while ago. And so I think it really does take away that craving for sugar and the taste of that. It was kind of cool. We discovered NUPLUS and Sunrider when my grandbabies were just being born, and I remember it was so easy. We'd go to the zoo or wherever, and we'd have a little packet of NUPLUS and a little dish of applesauce, those pop open applesauces, and you could mix up baby food wherever you were so simply, so easily. And that was the basic food for them. Loved it. In fact, before they could even talk, I know my oldest, Haley, we would babysit her, and she couldn't even speak yet, but she'd point to the cabinet. We'd put her up on the cabinet, and she would point to which one she wanted before she could even speak. She knew. She would point out her quinary and her NUPLUS and her different things, and we'd get it down and mix it up, and she'd eat it. She couldn't talk yet, but she could tell us exactly what she wanted. I like that it's low calorie. It's only like 60 calories. And so people, are always concerned about how many calories are in this. Very low calorie, complex carbs. It's a perfect food. It really is. And I just think it fills in the nutritional gaps. Often people say, well, is that all you eat? Well, no, but it's like when you eat the NUPLUS, you're filling in those nutritional gaps. So you're getting you're filling the potholes, basically, kind of, that you're not getting with your regular food. And I kind of like to describe it that way sometimes, because it just kind of gives you what you're not getting in your regular food that you would consume. And so it's a wonderful food. I love it. And I love that it's, the porridge, the Job's tears, is the barley. It's just a great food. And I think that probably I should eat more too. After hearing all the stories, I do consume a good bit, but I probably should eat more. Anyway.
Thank you, Kathy. That's awesome. And I love your story too. I mean, talk about perfect story about the M&Ms, because it just, the ingredients in NUPLUS are similar to VitaTaste, which does cut your taste for sugar and is very beneficial. So here's a 60 pack of, I just want to put this stuff here, of NUPLUS. And this one actually is the original. And those come in little orange packages. And then I have my bowl full of different flavors that, this is like That's a lot of plants in there, because each package has like many pounds worth of juiced and dried plants. So my current favorite is the pineapple banana. You can eat that straight out of the package. All of these can be made into smoothies, and many are sprinkled over yogurt or over your oatmeal. And if anyone has recipes, I'll take those after Carolyn gives us her NUPLUS stories. Please, Carolyn. You're muted. You're muted.
There we go. I've been eating Sunrider now for 31 years, and it's always been the basic foods mixed together for me. You know, I'm drinking my Cali, I'm also having Quinery, and I'm having my NUPLUS and my Sunectar or Sun Care. And so when I was thinking of stories, I wanted to see if I had some that could really isolate the impact of NUPLUS without the incredible balance that we get from the Nourish, Balance, Cleanse program. And to tell you the truth, one of the first stories I thought of is from an old tape of the month, which was a monthly program we had for a while in Sunrider, where people would simply tell their stories. Every month we'd get a CD, or later, a tape, and then eventually it became CDs. And there was a story from Nancy Donahue's group where there was a teenage daughter who was very ill, and she'd been to every place, and her friend kept encouraging her to try Sunrider, encouraging the mother to have the daughter have help. And the mother just said, no, we've tried everything, they've made all the stops. But eventually the friend kept coming back. And that really is a message of just the kind of tenacity sometimes we have, because we know what we have in Sunrider. And so eventually the mother said, well, you tell me one food, we'll try one food. And the Sunrider thought about it and chose NUPLUS. And we are never told in the story what the problem was, or how much she ate, or how long it took. But NUPLUS alone shifted that daughter's health, and she was totally on the way to recovery. So that was only one product. And I would have to choose the same product. If I was in that position and I could only choose one, it would be NUPLUS. And the, let's see, there's another story that I heard recently, and I can't remember how I heard it. So maybe some of you have heard it because it's pretty recent. But somehow I heard it, and it was a Sunrider mom who had to take her kids around to in the car or going to the next thing. And they weren't real old kids. It sounded like they were in elementary school or younger. And this mom always kept a couple water bottles partway filled with water. And if any child was cranky, she would put some NUPLUS in that water, and they'd had to drink it. And they right away, they were calmer, happier kids. One product in water. And now my own story is that I've been a strong Sunrider the whole time. I have pretty much always done the basic program. And in the early days, we didn't even think of not doing it 3 times a day. So I didn't deviate from that much, but I did increase my NUPLUS over the years because I was inspired by one of our great Sunrider leaders, who was also our Sunrider wise elder, J.W. Emerson from Oklahoma. And I heard more than once that JW was doing 12 NUPLUS a day. Did any of the rest of you ever hear that? Yeah. And so I thought, well, my goodness, if JW can do 12, I'm going to go for 6 and see what happens. So I just got in the habit of always doing 6 NUPLUS. And then one summer, this is years ago, probably at least 10 plus years ago, I was doing some extra stuff and I was getting a lot of CSA food because 2 different people were sharing their shares with me. And so I just thought, you know what, I'm going to just cut back on Sunrider this summer because my work is different and I'm not financially, whatever. I'm just going to tamp it down. And I went to 2 NUPLUS a day, plus other things, but with my NUPLUS, I cut it down that far. And that August, I distinctly remember the moment I looked in the mirror and I really said, Carolyn, you're really aging. And I was probably I was very likely in my early 60s. And I thought, okay, oh well. And I didn't think about it anymore. But pretty soon I talked to my sponsor, Mary Jo. And somehow it just came up in the conversation because I was not dwelling on it. But she said, Carolyn, how much NUPLUS are you doing? I said, well, I actually cut way back this summer. And she said, you get back on that NUPLUS, you're going to see a difference. She said, NUPLUS builds muscle. No, Mary Jo has always said, NUPLUS builds muscle. And so among other things, we know it's incredible for the brain, all kinds of things, and general healing, but NUPLUS builds muscle. So I did. I went back to my 6. And people, in 2 weeks, I had a facelift. I literally, everything lifted again. So I don't know if that was all little muscles. That's how I interpreted it. All little muscles that finally, we're back on cue or whatever. But that was very striking personal story for me of my direct experience. And I want to say before we close, move on my part, is that it's amazing how much nutrition we get in all of Sunrider. The level of concentration is so profound. And the price we pay is so small per serving compared to anything else. And then if we multiply that by at least 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, sometimes we hear it's much more, but we can at least definitely say it's at least 4 times concentrated. Our products are so small in price compared to the anything equivalent on the market, which of course there is nothing equivalent. But so anyway, at least 4 times we gotta multiply the cost of what anything else would be.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. That was awesome.
Thank you,
Anti-aging and a
Sunrider. Thank you,
facelift.
all of you. We share our stories.
And a facelift too. That's awesome. And I think I'm going to be increasing my my NUPLUS. And the good thing is that we're out of stock, unfortunately, of some Cali and Quinary, but I think NUPLUS is still in good stock as they move. So hopefully everything is going to be on track because everybody's going to be wanting NUPLUS. So I'm going to end this call, but I am going to record if any of you have recipes, but I put that on a separate recording so that this call is complete with all your NUPLUS testimonials. And I just am so grateful for each one of you because you all brought up new topics and it just shows you how powerful and how much benefit this has done for us. So I'm going to stop this recording and then I'll start another one.